What's going on, guys? Alex here, walking through a park, Kalajama, in Tallinn, Estonia. It's about early February and I've just been here for 4 days. I arrived from Krakow, Poland a few days ago, and I wanted to give you a quick video with initial impressions. I'm going to throw up a few videos that I filmed of the main city here as I talk. So for those of you interested, just to give you a kind of life update, and as I say, what do I think of the place on first impressions? Lots of trees. This is one of the main reasons I was very interested in this part of the world. It's covered in a lot of forest, and I'll talk about that in a minute, why I'm so drawn to forests. But flew from the UK in 2020 to Poland during the lockdown. I was a bit fed up of how things were going and paying extortionate London rent prices and things like that. So I went over to Poland in 2020, been there for 3 years, really fell in love with Krakow, but I wanted a change of scene. And looking around me at some of the various options in terms of places to spend the rest of my life, or at least a good chunk of it, Estonia popped up into view and ticked many of the boxes that I was looking for. It has pros and cons, and this is one of the main reasons I wanted to come out here initially and sort of treat this first phase of my time in Estonia as a little recce, as a kind of reconnaissance research mission, learn a little bit more about the place, get a feel for it, and wait out some of the things I want to see unfold before I make my decision on whether to stay longer term and that kind of thing. So, as I said, I'll be playing some videos of me walking about town, give you a sense of what the place looks like. It's a bit gloomy today, but it's been, I'd say 50% of the time, pretty sunny and crisp, pretty cold, hovering around 0 C, and it's been nice. I really like Estonia. Tallinn, first impressions, really good. It's a clean, aesthetically pleasing, beautiful city, not too big, not too small, my kind of setup. People seem nice and good looking, and the food is good. I haven't really had much Estonian food, but that's yet to come, yet to try that. But just been kind of walking about and taking it in and getting a feel for the public transport system and the prices. And I'm staying in an Airbnb kind of around there, where this part of town, there's a lot of really nice, beautifully designed kind of cabin-esque wooden constructions around Tallinn, which I think adds a really nice feel. So if we start on that kind of aesthetic accommodation, before I move into more about why I'm here and what I'm trying to look for. But loving the kind of wooden aesthetic and the colourful houses you get here. I've got a place, I'm spending about 600-700 euros a month for Airbnb, so obviously the price is going to be a bit inflated because it's Airbnb, but it's a nice spot, 1 bedroom, 1920s building, and it's got a wood burning stove, which is really fun. It's exactly what I want right now, this time of the year where it's cold, be able to throw on a few logs and see the fire burning. But yeah, design-wise, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I like that they have, you can see there's a lot of care put into the aesthetic of the city. Like, it looks good for the most part. There's a really nice old town with lots of beautiful kind of medieval buildings, castles, and nice kind of Scandinavian, Eastern Europe-esque buildings. Very minimal evidence of kind of the former Soviet influence. I'm probably going to find more of that as I uncover the city and the area a bit more, but there isn't too much of that. There's more of a Scandinavian feel overall. It's kind of a mix, which is what you'd expect in this part of the world, where Eastern Europe meets Scandinavia. I'm only 2 hours away on ferry to Helsinki. But yeah, so far, really good impressions. I like that Tallinn appears to be very much on top of the technological side of things. They're clearly keen on staying at the forefront globally at the forefront of technological advancement, cryptocurrency, methods of payment, bureaucracy-free logistics and administration. One of the things I was very drawn to, they've got fairly low taxes, although taxes have gone up a little bit recently since I arrived even, but no taxes on corporate income. So if you can figure out a way to own your own limited company here, for example, you're going to be paying zero taxes, which is interesting. And there were little robots scurrying about in the city, in the streets, little boxes with wheels and little things like that. They're very kind of on top of that. There's a lot of startup activity going on here, a lot of entrepreneurial activity and interaction, and people coming from overseas to start their companies and that kind of thing. The tax environment and the business environment very much favors starting new companies. So it's very interesting on that front. There's a bit of a buzz going on. The city feels a little bit empty at the moment, I guess because it's winter and people are sort of hiding away, but I like that. I don't mind not having too much of a rush going on. So even next to Krakow, which was always fairly empty in the winter period, it's even more quiet. But it depends on where you go in the city. And I really like that there's a mix. There's a really interesting mix of modern and old here. Whereas in Krakow, there wasn't much modern. There was like the one or two kind of malls, but mainly old-style buildings. Whereas over here, there's much more of a capital city vibe. You've got government buildings, you've got high-rises, you've got lots of malls, very affluent feel to many places, shiny buildings, nice cars. There's clearly money here. The prices, it's obviously subjective, but quite expensive in general from what I've seen, food prices anyway. And general prices I think are quite up there, but certainly not close to London price and that kind of thing for rental. What else? Lots of nice shops, great cafe scene, lots of nice cafes, so plenty of options there. There's a cool place called, I'm going to butcher the name, I've forgotten it already. It's gone. There's an area that's very much like Shoreditch, but quieter and smaller, close to where I am. So there's like container shipping, eating district, and cool old buildings, lots of street art. So hip areas, old school areas, lots of churches and cathedrals, and it's right by the sea as well. So I've had a little walk next to the Baltic Sea here, where there's harbours, and then there's the ship that leaves to Finland. And there are lots of little interesting developments going on the coast. So there's a beautiful beach with snow on it at this time of year. But there's also lots of residential development going on over there. Reminds me of East London. So lots of new builds, boats knocking about. I even spotted about like a little cluster of wooden tiny cabins where they had saunas and little hotel room cabins right by the sea. So I like that. I like that you can hear the seagulls, and there's a very sort of coastal feel to this place. It's very unusual. There's a lot going on, and everything you could ever want really is here in terms of sort of amenities and whatever. So there's a lot going for it here, and really liking it so far. It does get a bit kind of oppressively cold in at times, but I'm not fussed about that. I'm used to it. I like the cold. I'm perfectly happy living in a temperate country, especially knowing that the spring's coming, summer's coming, and you get to go through these phases, so that every phase that you're in, whether it's autumn, winter, summer, you always feel like you've kind of earned it. And it's just nice to see that change. So I'm totally happy being in the winter. It's very icy everywhere, as you can see. Like the whole city's effectively an ice rink at the moment. So one of the major challenges is trying not to fall over, and I've done a bit of slipping. But I don't want this to go longer than 10 minutes. I suppose in closing, there's a lot more I could say obviously, but I'll be doing more updates. But in closing, I could tell you a little bit more about what I see for myself over here long term. Now one of my main priorities right now, and has been for many years, is making sure that I stay relatively flexible, free and footloose in my life. I don't want to make any commitments or agreements with myself or with the environment or with where I live that ties me down too closely. I want to have options. I want to make sure that I could, that I have the choice to go to different places and to not be tied down to too much. In terms of my longer term view, I really, as I've been talking about in previous videos, very curious, very interested in the idea of getting some kind of land, some space that I can be a bit more creative and build things on, and potentially build a house. So I'm even thinking about leaning into actually building a house from scratch myself, if I can find a way to teach myself to do that, which is an extremely daunting prospect at the moment, but this is the kind of place that allows you to do that. And as far as I'm aware, I'm allowed as a UK citizen to buy land fairly straightforwardly and potentially build something on it, whether that's me entirely or me with some people or hiring contractors to do a lot of the work. But that sounds pretty tied in, doesn't it? Like, that's not the most... if you're looking for total flexibility and freedom, having a place and a house that ties you down to a place, especially with proximity to Russia and all the problems going on over there, I am aware of that. I am conscious of how that might be inviting in a certain amount of risk and future losses, maybe. But I am aware of that. And what I've decided is, because I want this dream of having land and building a place and being able to do my own thing and to build stuff is pretty powerful. Like, I'm very, very keen on the idea, and it just feels like it would be turning away from something pretty significant for me and very important for my enjoyment and happiness and mental health to not do that. So I want to find a way of bringing that in somehow. So it might just be that I don't buy a ton of land, but it's like a small amount, and I treat Estonia as like a base of several, potentially. It's all about, what I can afford and that kind of stuff too, of course. And we'll see, but to have a place like that is very interesting, and I'm going to be doing a lot of research and driving about and looking at places in the coming months, which I'll bring you along on. And I may even start, as I've mentioned before, a separate channel where I'm actually, if this comes to fruition, start documenting that process and building and creating everything else I do over there. But I'm really drawn to actually creating something outside of the screen, something with wood. And Estonia is good for that, from what I can see. Ticks many boxes there, and it's possible for a foreigner to do that kind of thing. We'll see. I'll have to do a bit more research. So thanks for coming along with me today. If you've got any questions and stuff, feel free to share below. If you're in the area, let me know as well. Happy to meet up if you're about. And I will be keeping you posted. So keep posted, keep subscribed. Peace out, guys.